Hey Wargamers, welcome back. Purple Druid presents Wargame Culture. It is Monday night, and as I semi-regularly do, I'm going to share with you what I've been working on this past week. Now, it's been a very, very busy week. I did not get much done this weekend. However, I ordered a bunch of things via mail order and they came in over the past couple of days, so I'm pretty excited about that. But let me first discuss grid-based games. Yes, indeed, I've made a special folder, and for my very favorite new type of game, I have assembled the tactics cards, the special and leadership cards, the special tactic cards, and the magic cards for everyone's favorite grid-based game. However, most of what I've been working on is Hex Trail, which is the working name, which is the working name of the Snakes and Ladders campaign format that is rapidly developing into an operational level game. So, as you can see here, I have redesigned the playmat. We will continue to start here, and I drew these little arrows across these hexes that make a trail, hex trail, back and forth until we get to the climactic battle. I actually seem to have an extra row of hexes up here, so I'm not sure what we're going to do with that, but we will do something, I promise you. Also, I found some very inexpensive Scrabble games out there in the wild, as well as these little checker pieces. And so they've been painted blue and red and gray. Guess why, right? We know why. Blue and red for Napoleonics, blue and gray for the American Civil War. So we can make counters. I have about 30 of these little red counters now. I have 10 or 12 of the round color counters in each color. And so we've got that. Now, I also had an idea for objectives. I think I mentioned this in the last video. If not, I'll go over some of the notes I made. But I also painted up these rooks that will make excellent strategic objectives for your armies to conquer. And as you move your troops across the board, you'll be able to do some things. So we're working on that. So that's another thing we've got going. Oh, also, I do have an alternative idea for the map, which would be just irregular spaces like so. This is upside down. There we go. With changing numbers of spaces. Once again, we can still put these strategic objectives in place, and then your armies would start here and then of course move on and on. I have not yet written any scenarios for the various battles. However, there are many scenarios out there. Also, I made some little event tokens, so when we do start placing our events, we can just drop those in, as you see there. Now, I've also had some thoughts about the scouting game and how to incorporate that into this on a regular basis, and also to make it a little bit more board gamey, if you want to put it like that. So I'm going to experiment with an 8x8 board and we'll set up our scouts. We'll go down to just 3 scouts per side, and we'll see if the scouts can move maybe 2 spaces per turn, maybe 3 spaces per turn, or maybe we'll decide, you know what, you've got 6 spaces to move, go ahead and share them out however you want. So that is an option as well. So we'll be playing some play tests with this. I will probably record those this coming week and get those up for you to comment upon. And this also, when it comes to the map and the actual Snakes and Ladders mechanism, bring this back for just a second. The Snakes and Ladders mechanism, the event cards, as we mentioned, which will be placed like so randomly around the board. Depending on how you draw the card, depending on whether it is right side up or inverted, you will be able to move up or down from row to row. Possibly there will be challenges that may or may not say it's a negative challenge, and so if you fail the challenge you drop down, but if you pass the challenge you stay where you are. I also ordered some cling vinyl, which is a very fun way to stick things on to other things. These are used mostly for sticking vinyl onto glass. Excuse me. And I don't know if you're old enough, but we had a thing called color forms as kids, and we would cut out shapes. Here you can see they've got some, looks like the Great Race of Yith right there, but also it might just be a party hat, I'm not sure. But anyway, I made some arrows. This is a Sharpie, just a black Sharpie. I'm going to have to get colored Sharpies because I tried to use the Tombow markers and they don't work. They just smear all over the place. So we can cut this out. Very simple. And we can make the arrows as detailed as we want. You know, perhaps we'll just, cut a shape like so to indicate where the arrow is. And then, stupid scissors, we have, just peel off this backing, and then after the battle, we can put this down here. And so after the battle, it'll indicate that the Red Army here wins the battle, and they will move directly to that space before they roll for their next turn. And it's not holding on to here so well. However, I think when we get a plastic coated surface for the actual game, this mechanic or this technique should work. And of course it just might be too humid in here, but yeah, that's holding pretty good. Cool. And another thing, I had an idea for weather. So we made some weather cards, and we'll turn these over. The weather is clear. We'll go through the whole turn. At the beginning of the next turn, it can be clear, or perhaps there's early fog. Again, depending on how we turn these over. Flip it over. Heavy rain, the event, no movement this turn, so everyone gets bogged down. That will come into play in just a little bit. Here we have heavy rain, but it's -3 to your movement, so you'll still roll a d6, but then you'll subtract 3 to that. So some groups will be able to move and some won't. Light rain, -1 to the move. Another clear, another clear, another clear. So there's 8 cards here. 5 are clear and 3 are rain. What else have we been thinking about? We've been thinking about the supply track and how that's going to work, as well as the messenger track. And I suspect that what I will not do is have the messenger, say the round one is the messenger there, I will not have the round ones move on the actual map, because this is really an abstraction of the environment that the battles are taking place in. So I believe what we'll do is we'll create, I'm just going to draw on here, a kind of a track for the couriers to use on the side of the board. We'll definitely need to have enough room for 3 or 4 couriers on there, but they'll move space to space. And perhaps now we'll say that a courier will move 3 spaces in a turn. 1, 2, 3. However, at the beginning of each turn, the couriers will need to either roll or draw a card to determine just how far they can move and what might happen to them. They may not get to move at all. They may run into enemy patrols. They may get captured. They may get lost. So basically what the idea will be is you can't even see what I've been doing, can you? The courier will move along the track. 1, 2, 3, back, forward. When they get to the end, they will have then accomplished their goal, whether they're requesting troops or requesting more supplies or what have you. And then, of course, we'll have the supply track running parallel to this, and we'll have some different supply counters. And, of course, those supply counters will then move back at a similar pace. And when they reach here, that will indicate that they've reached the army that they're trying to get to. So I think this will work better than running them actually along the hex trail there. And I've also thought of an idea for these strategic objectives, that these will represent cities or fortresses or something along those lines. And there's definitely a mini game that we can play regarding that. Again, we may be able to use the 8x8 scout board. However, the scout board may be in use, so perhaps we'll create a second satellite board to use for the sieges. What rules we'll use for those, I don't know yet. There are rules in William Sylvester's Solo Wargaming Guide. There are siege rules in Setting Up a War Games Campaign by Tony Bath. There are siege rules all over the place. So we will take a look at those and we will create a synthesis of what I think works best. And then, what else here? I have had a bunch of good advice and help from some folks online, so I'd like to say thank you to them, especially Clint Davey, who has been very patient and also very creative with his questions regarding, well, why do you want to do this and why would you do that? So I appreciate that. Thank you very much. Strategic objectives. They do not have to be cities. I think we could also create some terrain hexes to throw down, a river crossing perhaps, or a bridge, a major crossroad. It could be a seaport. You know, there's no reason that this map could not include coastal areas. There's no reason this map could not include mountains, and then you have a mountain pass, which would be the strategic objective. So lots of variety there as well. And I also have in mind a mini game. We would set up another board and play that out as a mini game board game as well, or as this whole thing is intended, to have a miniatures battle here, miniatures battle here. You could go ahead and do a miniatures battle siege right here, which might be interesting and also time consuming. So those are the ideas that we have working on Hex Trail. Yeah, that hangs on there pretty well. Excellent. And finally, I picked this up today, Undaunted Normandy. Pretty excited about this. I've watched a couple of videos. I've read some blog reviews, and I think this is a very cool looking game. It is grid based. They use counters, they use cards, and the map is generated randomly by each scenario. So that's kind of a cool thing. As you can see, hopefully see, this is still in the shrink wrap. I am probably not going to do an unwrapping video because there are a bajillion of those. However, I may do an analysis video where I talk about how these pieces and their rules inspire me to make choices for Hex Trail. So there's that. Today, again, is Monday. It is the end of the day. I'm running out of energy, so I'm going to go ahead and wrap this up. We're at about 16 minutes. Thank you very much for watching. Thank you for commenting on the previous videos. I really appreciate it. Also for reaching out via email and direct message. So you can find me on Twitter at Wargame Culture. And you can also go to the blog, which I'll put links in the description below. Thank you. Have a great night, and game on.